Foreword of the book, Studying Buddhism is Studying Enlightenment. The Buddha walks the path of enlightenment through the Tao and embodies the very essence of enlightenment itself. To walk the path of the Buddha is to embrace the indispensable nature of enlightenment for all learners. While the Buddha's teachings are available to all, true enlightenment remains rare and profound, shaped by the depth of each individual's realization. The world we live in is impermanent, shaped by the laws of karma, where enlightenment contrasts with confusion, self-grasping, and the void of prajna. True enlightenment is rooted in the Buddha nature within all sentient beings, awakened by a clear and pure mind. This light of enlightenment serves as the guiding path for beings to return to their true origins, the source of truth, which is often forgotten. This book, derived from the teachings of the Buddha, aims to illuminate the path of enlightenment for those who seek to return to their roots. True enlightenment does not reside in mere words or ideas, but in the heart of each individual. To embark on the journey of studying Buddhism requires true practitioners, not self-satisfied learners who merely accumulate knowledge. It is not enough to speak the words of enlightenment. One must embody and experience it. Studying Buddhism requires an open eye of wisdom, an eye that sees the merit and essence of the Dharma, and a heart dedicated to its practice. This book is a tribute to all who strive to awaken the Buddha nature within, and it is dedicated to the Truklam Zen Monastery on the occasion of Buddha's Day in the year of the Gradual Garb, 2010. The impermanence of the world is the first truth that speaks of the transient nature of all things. Though we may know the world is impermanent, we often fail to remember this truth in our daily lives, leading to suffering when we cling to what is fleeting. Buddhism teaches us that all things, people, relationships, and even moments are subject to change, and this truth offers us the opportunity to embrace life more skillfully, letting go of attachments and cultivating wisdom. In the teachings of Buddhism, we learn that impermanence governs everything. The analogy of a river's flow reminds us that life, like a stream, is constantly moving, never standing still. Similarly, emotions like joy and sorrow, love and loss are not permanent. To truly understand life, we must recognize its ever-changing nature and cultivate a mind that is not bound by desires, regrets, or fears. The story of an old man whose horse goes missing, only to return with another, illustrates the teaching of impermanence. The old man remains calm and grateful, showing how one should live in harmony with the changes that life brings. Whether in moments of joy or sorrow, everything is impermanent, and peace comes when we accept the flow of life without resistance. Through meditation and mindfulness, we come to understand the deep wisdom of impermanence. This realization helps us live with greater clarity and less suffering. The Zen story of two brothers, one carrying a woman across a stream while the other becomes agitated, serves as a reminder of how we often burden ourselves with unnecessary attachments and judgments. True equanimity comes when we let go of such attachments and remain free from the fluctuations of the mind. Buddhism teaches us to live lightly, without clinging to past wounds or future desires. Just as one does not hold on to a moment of happiness forever, we should not dwell on sadness or pain. When we truly understand impermanence, we can live with greater ease, accepting each moment as it comes, knowing that it too shall pass. To study Buddhism is not merely to absorb knowledge. It is to practice it in every aspect of life. Like a patient who must take medicine to heal, we must take the Dharma teachings into our hearts and let them transform us. Only through direct experience can the wisdom of Buddhism bring true benefit to our lives. Studying Buddhism is not merely an intellectual pursuit. It is a transformative journey that requires a commitment to practice. The true essence of Buddhism lies not in acquiring knowledge, but in embodying the wisdom and compassion that it teaches. Just as the Buddha emphasized in his teachings, the path to enlightenment is through direct experience, not just theoretical understanding. Buddhism is often misunderstood as simply a philosophy or a religion centered on rituals. However, at its core, it is a guide to living a life free from suffering. The Buddha's teachings on impermanence, suffering, and non-self provide a profound framework for understanding the human condition and how we can transcend our inherent limitations. To truly grasp the teachings of Buddhism, one must learn to see the world through the lens of impermanence. This means recognizing that everything in life, our thoughts, emotions, relationships, and even our physical bodies, is subject to change. Nothing lasts forever, and this realization is not meant to bring despair, but rather liberation. In a world where we are constantly bombarded by the desire for permanence, stability, and control, Buddhism encourages us to embrace the natural flow of life. When we understand that everything is impermanent, we begin to let go of our attachment to things, people, and outcomes. This act of letting go is not a rejection of life or a denial of our desires, but rather an acknowledgement that clinging to them only causes suffering. By accepting that life is constantly changing, we can cultivate an attitude of equanimity, remaining calm and balanced in the face of life's inevitable ups and downs. One of the most important aspects of Buddhist practice is meditation. Through meditation, we develop mindfulness, which allows us to observe the impermanent nature of our thoughts and emotions without getting attached to them. This practice of mindfulness helps us become aware of the fleeting nature of our desires and fears, enabling us to respond to them with greater clarity and wisdom. When we meditate, we create a space between stimulus and response, allowing us to act with intention rather than reacting out of habit or conditioning. This process gradually reduces the power of our cravings, aversions, and attachments, leading to greater peace and inner freedom. The Buddha taught that suffering dukkha arises from attachment, ignorance, and craving. These mental afflictions trap us in a cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. However, by cultivating awareness and understanding of the true nature of reality, we can break free from this cycle. The Four Noble Truths, which form the foundation of Buddhist teachings, outline a clear path for overcoming suffering. The first truth recognizes that suffering is an inherent part of life, while the second truth identifies the causes of suffering are attachments and desires. The third truth reveals that it is possible to end suffering by letting go of these attachments, and the fourth truth provides a practical guide to achieving this liberation: the Noble Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path is a set of ethical principles and practices designed to cultivate wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. These principles include right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Each aspect of the path is interconnected, and together they provide a holistic approach to transforming our lives. By following the Eightfold Path, we develop the qualities of wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline necessary for attaining enlightenment. Another important aspect of Buddhism is the cultivation of compassion, karuna, and loving kindness, metta. The Buddha taught that compassion is the foundation of a truly enlightened life. To cultivate compassion, we must first develop empathy for the suffering of others, recognizing that all beings, like ourselves, experience pain and hardship. By following the Eightfold Path, we develop the qualities of wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline necessary for attaining enlightenment. Another important aspect of Buddhism is the cultivation of compassion, karuna, and loving kindness, metta. The Buddha taught that compassion is the foundation of a truly enlightened life. To cultivate compassion, we must first develop empathy for the suffering of others, recognizing that all beings, like ourselves, experience pain and hardship. This recognition fosters a sense of interconnectedness and responsibility, motivating us to act in ways that alleviate suffering. Compassion is not just an emotional response, but an active practice that involves selflessness and a genuine desire to help others. Loving kindness, on the other hand, is the practice of wishing others well, regardless of their actions or behavior. It involves extending goodwill to all beings, even those who may have wronged us. By practicing metta, we free ourselves from the grip of hatred, resentment, and anger, replacing these negative emotions with love and understanding. Loving kindness is a powerful antidote to the suffering caused by negative emotions, and it helps us cultivate a heart of peace and generosity. In the context of modern life, it can be challenging to fully embrace the teachings of Buddhism. Our fast-paced, materialistic world often distracts us from the deeper truths of life, encouraging us to chase after fleeting pleasures and superficial achievements. However, it is precisely in this context that the teachings of Buddhism are most relevant. In a world that constantly seeks to satisfy our desires and quell our anxieties, Buddhism offers a path to true contentment, a path that is not dependent on external circumstances, but on the inner peace and clarity that arise from understanding the nature of reality. Buddhism invites us to question the assumptions and beliefs that shape our perception of the world. It encourages us to look beyond the surface and see the impermanence and interdependence of all things. By developing a deeper understanding of the nature of existence, we can break free from the delusions that keep us trapped in cycles of suffering. Buddhism teaches us to cultivate wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline so that we can live with greater awareness, compassion, and equanimity. Ultimately, the practice of Buddhism is about returning to our true nature, the Buddha nature that resides within each of us. The Buddha nature is the inherent potential for enlightenment that is present in all beings, regardless of their external circumstances. Through meditation, mindfulness, and ethical conduct, we uncover this latent potential and bring it to fruition. The journey toward enlightenment is not a journey to a distant place or state of being. It is a journey of self-discovery, a process of waking up to the truth of who we are. As we walk the path of Buddhism, we are reminded that life is impermanent and that suffering is an inevitable part of the human experience. However, we are also reminded that there is a way out of suffering, a way that leads to peace, wisdom, and freedom. The teachings of the Buddha offer us a roadmap for navigating the challenges of life, and through our practice, we can gradually transform ourselves in the world around us. May this book guide those who seek to deepen their understanding of the impermanence of life, and may it inspire them to live with clarity, compassion, and joy in harmony with the ever-changing flow of existence.